Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. You know, we always love having entertainers on the show, comedians, actors. This guy, no exception. He's performed at the Improv in L.A. and Palm Beach, the Laugh Factory. You've seen this guy in movies such as, one of my favorites, by the way, Black Sheep, The Water Boy with Adam Sandler, leading roles in An American Carol, White Knight, just to name a few. He's been on my favorite show in the history of TV, Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's also been on The Today Show, The View, Extra, Fox News, Good Morning America, and many other shows. The legend himself, Kevin Farley, joining us on the line. He's also going to be at
All right. How are you?
Kevin, thanks for joining us, my man. How are you?
I'm darn good. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
Sure. So you're going to be performing at the Plaza Thursday through Sunday. I would imagine you've performed in Vegas many a times before, correct?
I have. I used to open up for Dave Spade at the Venetian years ago. And then I performed at the the Laugh Factory over there at the Tropicana for a year. Yeah.
What do you make of this city, and what do you do when you're out here?
I try to enjoy it as much as I possibly can without getting into too much trouble, you know.
Fair enough.
But, I do like Vegas. If you can't have fun in Vegas, I don't know about you.
That is true.
There's plenty of stuff to do.
Now, I named some of your accolades, all the movies you've been in. You've been doing this for such a long time in show business. Does it get tiresome? I would imagine people probably come up to you every day and want to ask you a question about, the late great, of course, your brother Chris Farley. Does that get annoying to you when people? I would imagine that happens to you every day.
Yeah, it depends on the person, if they're rude about it. But no, most people are nice. But I'll answer any questions anybody wants to know if they're nice about it. So no, I mean it depends on the person.
Sure,
but no,
sure. That's understandable.
I'm not usually
understandable.
I'm not usually, it doesn't really bother me. No.
That's nice to hear. That's nice to hear.
Not overly sensitive to it.
Yes, that is.
No.
That's nice to hear. So I want to go back to early on in your movie career when you're on the set of, like, say, Black Sheep. Obviously, your brother in that movie as well. It's a legendary movie. Like, when you're on the set of that movie, do you say to yourself, this is going to be a hit? People are going to be talking about this movie 20, 30 years later. What do you remember about being on a set of that kind of movie?
Well, that one in particular, Black Sheep, I just was Chris at his best. Whenever I just knew my brother's capabilities at that time. So I thought, this one's going to be good. I just think he did whatever he did 100%. So at the time, I remember thinking, this is going to be a really funny movie. This is going to be good.
Take me back to your family. I mean, what was it like at the dinner table with the Farleys growing up? I mean, what was that like?
Well, you had to get your food quick because it was going to be gone. Put it this way, there wasn't a lot of thinking about whether or not you're full.
So, Kevin, you're a guy who's dipped your foot into many different types of media opportunities, right? You're someone who's done music videos. You've been in TV shows. You've been obviously in films as well, too. Other types of what is the most enjoyable for you when it comes to those different types of entertainment where you get a chance to take a try at it?
Well, right now I'm doing a show on Netflix called F is for Family, which is a voiceover animated thing. That's my most enjoyable because I can come in my PJs or whatever I want to do.
Nice.
And, I don't have to go through makeup. I don't have to go learn I learn my lines, but, I can do take over take, and it's really easy and fun. And that, to me, is a blast. And also, the show itself is a wonderful show to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Burr, Laura Dern, those guys are great.
I can totally appreciate that. So you've got your brother John, your brother Chris, Yusuf. You guys are all actors. Where did this come from? What did it come from? Your mom's side of the family, your dad's side of the family? Who kind of instilled the acting bug into the Farley family?
I think they were pretty much open to just do anything as long as they got off their payroll. I think,
Yeah, that makes sense.
if I said something, they'd be like, so my dad would be like, so I don't have to pay for you anymore? Okay, great. You do it. You go ahead and do whatever you want.
So,
So they didn't really mind that.
if you're just joining us, it's Kevin Farley. He's going to be at the Plaza Thursday through Saturday. Great place to see a comedy show. I've seen Kevin do stand-up before. He's amazing. One of my favorite shows, Curb Your Enthusiasm. I remember you were on the episode The Rat Dog, if I'm not mistaken, back in 2007.
Yeah.
What was it like being on the set? And obviously Curb has a new season out, season 10. What was it like being on the set with Larry David and working with a guy like that?
Well, first of all, you had Larry, which is Larry David is a genius. And then you had people underneath him, you know, with Jeff Garland and J.B. Smoove. And not only that, but you had a great staff of writers. That whole show was just jam-packed with really funny people. And you knew you were in good hands with those people. And also all the other cast members, too. You know, Susie and they're great. They're all awesome.
Yeah, that is great.
You really are in good hands. So you just feel like, you know, if you are kind of questioning whether or not you're funny or is this thing funny or not or what am I doing, they'll let you know, and they have a great radar on what's funny and what's not funny.
So you've made appearances, Kevin, on Fox News, and I don't know, maybe you could share this with us. Do you interject politics into your act?
Not at all. Are you kidding me? I don't want a brick thrown at my head these days.
So what you're saying is you support Donald Trump then?
Yeah. Listen, I want to survive my act. No, I don't. No, I don't want to get into that. It gets people too angry. I want to have fun. I want to have. I want to have a good time.
You should have listened to the last hour of our show. I would agree with you. I was a little bit angry. That's for sure. All right. So Kevin. This might be a difficult question for you to answer, but it's one of those questions about your brother. If your brother, Chris, the late Chris Farley, was still with us today, what do you think he'd be doing? Would he still be doing, the movies and the stand-up, or where do you think his career would be at right now?
You know, I'm not sure, but I think he wanted to do a little more serious things when he died, but I'm not sure. He was one of those guys that woke up every day going, and you were surprised at what he did. So he would. I think he would be surprising to a lot of people.
Well, one of the American institutions that your brother, as well as you, got a chance to work on, of course, was Saturday Night Live. What was your thoughts on that experience, getting a chance to work on that show and kind of soak up that whole experience?
Well, you know what? I was really put in the background as kind of an extra. I didn't really have.
Yeah.
I mean, but I would visit, and I would look and I'd hang around. So that show is fun, but it's also tough to put on. I'm amazed that they do what they do on that show. It's a lot of work, and you're live TV, so you can't mess up.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask you about some of your fellow comedians, some of whom have been in a little bit of controversy. And I know you just said you don't interject politics in your act because you don't want to get a brick thrown at your head. But, I'm a big fan of Louis C.K., and he's taken a lot of flack recently, the last year or so, of his career. And there are different levels of things you should never do. Like I'm sure we all could agree in the Laugh Factory in L.A. when it was Kramer, Michael Richards, am I getting his name right, over former Seinfeld actor. His career, we haven't even heard from him since he used the N-word over and over again. We all can agree that was inappropriate. But, I mean, what do you make of, the line that you should never cross? As a comedian yourself, where do you think that line falls under?
I have no idea because I guess I haven't crossed it yet, but who knows? I don't know. I'm sure people will know when I do. They'll let me know if I cross the line, So I don't know. I think this is tough these days, trying to find what's funny because, the consequences of crossing the line are pretty hardcore. So, the only thing you do is just try to do your best. I like to keep things personal so that people can't really come at me, too much. So I tell personal stories. I tell things that happen in my life, and that way I stay out of the trouble,
I think he's fortunate to not know what that line is.
I don't know.
I would say that since your brother Chris Farley passed, there has not been a comedian who has had as much success with his style of comedy. Would you agree with that, or can you name a comedian in the last, we'll say, 15 years who has any style even remotely like your brother?
No, I always thought he was a unique guy. He was born and bred out of the clown kind of guys like Jackie Gleason and John Candy, John Belushi. Not so much Belushi, but like more of a clown guy. You know, he really liked Gleason, and he liked to. He really enjoyed basic, physical comedy and this and that. So. No, I don't see a lot of physical comedians out there that are just trying to make people laugh without being political or kind of edgy or doing something like that. He didn't want to go near the edge. He just wanted people to smile and have a good time.
Kevin, you mentioned getting a chance to work with Bill Burr. I'm a huge fan of his. Obviously, he's one of those guys. He's really a star on the rise. He's been around for a little while now, but he's really starting to come into his own, I think, as far as being a comedic star. But who are the guys that you looked up to? Who are the comedians that, I don't want to say model yourself after, but that you look at as a form of kind of a mentorship type of thing?
Well, when I started doing stand-up back in 2011, 2012, I started to do stand-up because I come from an improv background, really, like an actor, improv kind of guy.
Yep.
And I went on the road with Norm Macdonald, who I think is really great.
Brilliant.
I love Norm.
He's so funny.
He's brilliant. Yep.
And he's so far from what I kind of do, but I wanted to observe who I thought was a real pro, and I think Norm certainly is. So
Can I just say,
went on the road with him.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Kevin. I just had to. You reminded me of something. Norm Macdonald movie. One of my favorites is Dirty Work. Your brother obviously was in that movie. The Saigon horror scene is one of the funniest scenes in any movie I've ever. By the way, that movie directed by Bob Saget. I just wanted to say I love that Norm Macdonald movie. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead, Kevin. I'm sorry.
No, that Saigon thing. I mean, I never really laughed at Chris because I, grew up with him. So, but that one I looked at him. I said, actually, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
You mean to tell me all the years of Chris doing Saturday Night Live, you never, because you were so used to his antics at home that you never really laughed at?
He was doing that stuff since he was 10 years old.
Can you give me if it's okay? Can you give me an example of one of the annoying, funny things that your brother would do in the household when he was a teenager?
I don't know. He's always taking his shirt off, running around the house. Kind of like.
Oh, he sounds like C-Win.
Yeah,
that was. And by the way, full disclosure, Kevin, you got two Midwest guys like yourself here in studio. JD's a Midwest guy, myself. I grew up in Michigan. So I can totally relate to you seeing your brother Chris rolling around the house with his shirt off with a not-so-svelte body on that.
Well, the Chris thing about Chris is that he wasn't in the best shape, but he was actually an outstanding athlete. Yeah. He was good. He was a good athlete in high school as well, right, Kevin?
Yeah, we would always play basketball in the backyard, and my mom would get worried because if I beat him, I'd have to run 3 blocks down the street just because he gets so pissed at me. He was very competitive athletically, but he was good. He was a good basketball player. He was a good football player. Yeah, but he could move, pretty quickly.
He was very agile.
I'm trying to picture your brother Chris with a little crossover dribble breaking down somebody on the basketball court. I'm sorry, but that's just hilarious to me.
What was his go-to move in the one-on-one game between you guys? Was it a fadeaway? Did he just do a spin move and just dunk in your face, or?
No, he made up weird moves and he thought they were really cool. But they were always just stupid. Dribble twice on one hand and then switch it to the left. I'm like, that's not anything. I don't know what you're doing.
That's not anything.
He would make them up as he went.
If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Kevin Farley. He is going to be at the Plaza doing his stand-up routine Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Great venue, great place to see a show. So, Kevin, I got to ask you this. For people, I know you said you've been doing this for almost 10 years now, doing stand-up. For people that have never seen your act before, I have. You're fantastic. But for somebody that has never seen it before, explain your act a little bit and explain to people what the type of topics and the things you talk about up there on stage.
You know what? Relationships. I got a wife now, so we talk a little bit about her and my relationship, and I talk about my weight issues. I talk a little bit about growing up in the Midwest, and just observations, song lyrics. I talk a little bit about that. So it's a mishmash of stuff, kind of. And I
Love
also
it.
do a little crowd work.
I love
Get
it.
to know the people that are there.
Any upcoming? I know you mentioned one of your projects, but any upcoming movies or projects that you'd like to talk to us about moving forward?
Just go see F is for Family on Netflix. That's still going into our season 4, and I've got a couple voices on there, and I'll be doing stand up, and then that's pretty much it. Just F is for Family. I also have a podcast I do every week called Kevin Farley on the Road. You can listen to that. It's on iTunes, and that's what keeps me busy.
I appreciate that, Kevin. Really appreciate what you do, and I also thank you for your time and for coming on our show. I can tell you right now, we are all going to stop by there at the Plaza on Thursday night and check you out, man. You are an extremely talented and funny guy, and really
I appreciate it.
You really are. Really looking forward to your show at the Plaza on Thursday. By the way, Kevin, a little bit of history for you. Do you know that the Plaza was in Back to the Future 2? That was Biff's Casino. I wanted to give you a little bit of history there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's
Wow.
right. They filmed part of Back to the Future
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a great venue, and of course, as you know, Kevin, it's right there on Fremont Street, so a lot of cool people watching, some great restaurants there. By the way, another piece of history, Oscar Goodman, the former mayor of Las Vegas, his steakhouse is there. It's called Oscar's Beef, Booze, and Broads. I highly recommend it.
I saw that.
Yeah. Kevin, I know you like food, okay? I'm just saying, it is a fantastic restaurant, my friend. So thank you so much again for coming on, and really looking forward to your show this weekend, okay, my friend?
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kevin.
Appreciate it. There you go.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kevin.
Kevin Farley, legendary comedian, a legendary family, I should say. My God, what a family.
And Brian, I love it, JD, throwing in a little dirty work nugget in there. That was
absolutely.
top notch right there.
I love that
Solid.
movie. I love that movie. I love every scene with Chris Farley in that movie. That is Bob Saget directing, and Norm Macdonald and Artie Lang.
Artie Lang's only good movie ever.
That's true. His movies really are terrible. And his nose isn't looking too good these days either.
I did like him in Entourage, though.
Yeah, he played himself.
Yeah, he was good in Entourage.
I like a lot of those cameos because Bob Saget is in one of those cameos, and he's like, "Don't bang my daughter." It's like one of those scenes, and just really funny. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a quick break. Vanessa Bryant, of course, the late Kobe Bryant, of course, his wife has just spoken at this memorial service at Staples Center. We have a little bit of audio of that to play for you, so we'll talk about that coming up next. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM.